Alright guys, today I'm going to review how we do our coil pot project. So please pay attention, I will try and get through this as quickly as I can. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to break a small chunk off of our ball of clay that we've gotten. And we're going to roll that. That's going to become the bottom of our clay coil pot. So I've rolled it into a nice little ball here, and remember this clay is already soft, so you guys don't need to soften it at all. In fact, the more you play with it, the harder it's going to get. So make sure that as soon as you get your clay that you start working with it. And I'm going to flatten out the bottom of it. Now it can be as narrow or as wide as you want it to be. So some people want to make more like a plate that's really, really wide. That's fine. Then you're going to want to start with a bigger ball of clay for the bottom, and you're also going to want to make your coils kind of come out to the sides instead of coming up. If you want it to be more like a cup, you're going to do about this size of a bottom, and then you're going to want to add your coils coming straight up so that your cup is nice and tall and can hold liquid. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to start to roll our clay into coils. Remember, a coil is just another word for the worm-like or snake-like little coil that you can make when you roll clay, okay? So you can see as I'm rolling the clay here on the table that it's going to get wider and longer. Alright, keep going and going. And I can make a really nice long coil here. I'm going to actually break this one into two. Set the other piece off to the side for right now. Now, a good way to think about this is that you want it to be not much less than your width of your pinky finger, okay? So you don't want it to be too thin. If you make it too thin, then it is going to really easily fall apart and break on you, okay? Next thing I'm going to do is I grab my tool. I'm going to make little scratches along the bottom of my bowl, all the way around. And I'm also going to make those same scratches on my coil. So I'm going to start here, make my little scratches going all the way down. The name for this is called scoring. So when we make those scratches, it's called scoring. Then we're going to add water, which is also known as slip. Sometimes the water actually has clay or other things in it. We are just going to use plain water for today. It'll work just fine. And we're going to get our clay a little bit wet. Okay, we're going to do the same thing with our coil. And then we're going to pick it up and we're going to start to push it down onto that base, okay? Now, one thing to make sure you're doing with this is not pushing too hard against the table. When you push too hard against the table, your clay pot will actually get stuck to the table. So it's a good idea to every now and then pick it up and move it, make sure it's not too stuck. And if it does get stuck, make sure that you let me know, because I can help you to get it off really carefully using a special tool, and that won't ruin your clay pot. So please make sure that you let me know if you get to a point where your clay is kind of stuck to your table. As I get to a point where I am touching a new part of the clay that has not been scored yet, again, I'm going to go back and I'm going to score it. Add a little bit more water. And I'm going to keep going, pushing it down and around my pot. Okay, and it's going to keep going and going, getting taller and taller as we go. Okay, still got a good amount of clay left to keep making it taller. I'm actually going to stop in just a couple minutes and not use all my clay just for the sake of time. But I'll do one more coil here and connect it for you so that I can show you how to smooth it out as well. And so I am adding my scoring to my coil. And I'm also going to start scoring that new part. A good way to remember that is you only ever want to attach clay if it is scratched and it's wet. So we call that slip and score again. Alright, and we're going to start pushing this down and around the bowl. And again, I'm getting to an area that has not been scored yet. So right here I've got to stop, grab my tool, and I've got to make some more score lines. I know that seems kind of like a long process when you have to go back and add all those scratches, but it will make your pot much stronger and it'll make it stay together, especially when it goes in the kiln. So please make sure that you do that. I'm also going to add a little more water there. I've already got some scratches on the bottom side of this coil, so that part of it's good to go. Alright, and just like that, I've got a little coil pot here started. If you look at the side of it, it looks like that, and that's what it looks like from the top. And then, of course, the bottom is smooth because it's that base that we had made originally. Now, if you would like to smooth out the sides of your coil pot, you can do that really easily with one of these tools. And what you're going to do is you're just going to take the flat side of it and we're going to brush up, almost like you're using it like a paintbrush. And you're going to brush up the sides of it. Don't worry if your wall kind of falls in just a little bit. Just stand it right back up and you'll be good to go. Okay, so that's a really nice, easy way to smooth it out. You can smooth it all the way around the outside, or you can leave it with these lines. A lot of people really like those lines because it shows the way that the coil was made. So it is up to you to decide which option you prefer. That is the end of the coil pot. The next thing I'm going to show you is how we make the shape pot that I had told you guys about. And remember that you can combine these two methods if you want to as well. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make another base. So again, we roll the base between our hands. And remember, when you are flattening the base, you don't want to squish it down to the table. We don't want it to get stuck. So we're going to squish it between our fingers just like we're making a cookie. I've got a nice little base there. All right. And then you're going to set this down and we're going to start to make some little shapes. Alright, so I rolled a little ball and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flatten it. Makes it almost like a little coin, but not too thin. So there's the edge, there's the front. And just like we did before, we're going to make some little scratches there on our base and some scratches on the side of that little coin we just made, and we're going to stick them to each other. Okay. Then I would move on to doing another little coin and sticking it down to the side of that. So I'm going to make another coin. Now, the important thing on the second coin and the third one and all of the coins after the first one is to make sure that you not only score the bottom of the coin and the bottom of the base, you also want to score the side of the one that you're attaching it to and the side of the one you're using to attach. Then you're going to add a little bit of water and attach that coin next to the last one, making sure to kind of squish together where the clay is touching so that it stays nicely. Now, that's the beginning. That's only 2 little circles added, and as you can see, I've got plenty of clay left to keep working on this, so you could definitely make a nice little tall cup here for maybe pencils or to use for candy jar. It's up to you to decide. So the last step is going to be with, regardless of which project you have, you're going to bring it up to me, and when you do, I'm going to hold out my hand and I want you to flip it into my hand upside down. The reason you're going to do that is so that I can write your name on the bottom. Please let me write your name so that I can read it, because I have to load and unload about 300 projects from the kiln, so it's easiest if I can read my own handwriting rather than yours. I will add your name to the bottom of it and I will stick it in the kiln and it'll be ready in a couple weeks. So if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, we are ready to get started.